Hey everyone, so today we have a new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Miniart. And it's quite an interesting one because it copies StuH 42 Ausf.G late production in 135 scale, and moreover this is not an interior kit, this is actually a version without it, so some modders will be happy to see that because I know that many of you are actually focusing on the external features, and here we actually get a chance to build this vehicle without any internals, but still I think some of the stuff will be included here, so we will see it during the video review. And of course this is the commercial sample, so it means that's the final shape of this kit, and you will get exactly the same stuff as what you will see in this nice box. So first of all, the kit number is 35355. As you can see, we have this nice winter camouflage vehicle on the box art. Then on the side you will find some safety information and address of the manufacturer, while on the opposite side you can see 4 marking options together with a small note that decals are coming from cartograph and the decals sheet itself. So this is a top opening box, and I will try to open it fast, but it's a bit of a tight fitment, so that's why I'm struggling with the top lid. And what we have here is all of the parts, they are packed into the same plastic bag, so they are sealed all together, and that's why we will have to tear through this bag, open it, and then check what is actually included inside. So just give me a second, I will try to do it quickly with a knife, because otherwise it will be a really long procedure, and I forgot my scissors, so we will have to do it with a knife. Okay, so let's remove everything out of the plastic bag. As you might have noticed, there are plenty of the plastic sprues, and that's due to the fact that we have separate track links as well. And also this envelope on the top of the plastic bag, it was dedicated to the PE threads, of course, and also decal sheet. So let's start with this stuff. I will zoom in and close the lenses maybe so that it won't be that bright. So here we have 2 PE threads, and these ones will come handy for fine features on your vehicle. As you can see, one is dedicated to various meshes and clamps on the StuH itself. Here we have the Sturzen code, because it's a external armor which is installed on the special holders, or Sturzen if you prefer. And by the way, here is the small bonus, because we have the recent change from Miniart, if camera will focus. Yeah, now you should be able to see that here we have the name of the vehicle, so you can use it on this stand in case you plan to depict this vehicle on some diorama project. Then it will definitely come handy, because for example I used it on my temple build and it was a really good thing to have. Here we have the decals. As you remember, they are coming from cartograph, nothing I would say unusual here, but the printing quality is really good, so it's just a matter of careful application and you'll have a nice result on your vehicle. Next, another plastic bag, and it's sealed, and as you can guess, another plastic bag is needed in order to store the clear plastic sprue. So here we have all the necessary periscopes for this vehicle, and this is really cool that Miniart does not skip on this thing, so we actually get all of them and we can install them on our vehicle. The only thing you should keep in mind is that we do not get masks here included, so in case you would like to have everything painted properly, if we put it this way, you have to cut your own stickers, or maybe even use the liquid masks in order to get everything precisely painted. But it's your decision how you approach this moment. There are several ways how to tackle it. Next we start with the first gray plastic sprue. It's a sprue JD. Here I will zoom out a bit. And as you can see, we have various Pioneer tools. Those ones are quite important because they're visible on the finished vehicle, and of course they're placed on the external panels. So that's why take your time and maybe paint them separately, because it might benefit the overall details of the vehicle. It will look more natural, and of course once you apply all of the weathering on top of it, it will look even more convincing in 135 scale. Okay, so let's move it to the side. And next we continue with the large sprue. So it's the sprue B, and here we start getting the first hull parts. So I will zoom out. As you can see, that's the bottom or floor panel. These are two side panels. This is the rear armor wall, and everything looks quite good. So do not worry about such panel separation, because it's actually a typical design for such vehicle. And also we have the smart internal design of the guiding elements, so it will be quite easy to get the right angle between those panels. And the only thing I would recommend to pay attention is to not to overdo the layer of glue, because it can actually melt the necessary joints. Next we have a pair of plastic sprues, so I will show you only one. Here, as you can see, we have some parts for the drivetrain. These are actually the torsion bars, which will be installed inside as far as I can guess, and we also have the tensioners there and some of the gearbox parts here, but I guess they will not be used because we are not copying the interior here, unless you will find somehow the way to employ all of those parts. Next we continue with more of the internals, but here again some of the bits will stay aside, because what we need here is more of the external parts for the exhaust, also various antennas, as you can see, and again some of the parts are really thin, so you have to think twice whether you would like to use this plastic, or maybe you would like to replace it with a metal wire, which will provide you with pretty much the same features, but it will also help you avoid any unnecessary breakages, which are really difficult to fix. And in my opinion, that's another reason to add some fine features with help of metal wire. Next we continue with the small part. I guess this one will be used for the main barrel, and this is really cool that this barrel part is molded as a single piece element, so you won't have to deal with two-piece assemblies. It's actually coming ready to be used, and you just need to install it into the necessary spot. Next we continue with more Pioneer tools on the StuH. Here you can see various axes and also the starting handle. We also have the shovel. Note that here we have two versions of the shovel. One is molded together with a clamp, another one is without it, and that's because we have the PE clamps supplied here. So in case you're brave enough and you would like to have more fine features on your model, then definitely go for it. But again, I remind you that such things require a certain experience from you, because otherwise it might be really tricky to get everything into the right position and to have it in a more natural look or appearance. So here we continue with the idlers. As you can see, these will be assembled out of two parts. We have also some guiding elements inside, so it's not a difficult task to do. More difficult is to actually have the convincing weathering on them, in my opinion. Drive sprockets, well, pretty much the same design. I think here we can zoom in so that you can see also some molded in details, because we also have the casting marks on these metal parts. And this is really important in 1/35 scale, so it's good that Miniart did not skip on it. And here you can see the guiding elements, which will help you with alignment. By the way, you could have noticed that we have the attachment points here right on the teeth. So you have to be careful while separating all of this stuff, because it's really easy to break it and then it will be a hard time repairing it. Next, some road wheels. As far as I can guess, these ones are actually the spare road wheels. As you can see, they also feature some pre-molded details on the tire walls or rubber bandages, and here you can check them from the opposite side. Okay, next we continue with actual road wheels, which will be installed on the vehicle itself. So we have 4 plastic sprues, absolutely the same, and as you can see, the road wheels also kind of the same or similar to what we saw on the spare parts. So as you can see here, we have some tire trademark, and of course the fact that these are molded as a single piece parts, it means that you have to find some circular template in order to get a nice paint finish, because otherwise it will be a waste of time with the not exact, not precise finish. So now, as you can hear, I'm trying to put all of the sprues in a bit more coordinated position. So next we continue with the tracks, and here we have the 2 types of the sprue. First one is AG, and we have 7 sprues. Here you can see it. I will leave you only one on the table because here we have the separate track links, so attachment point is right in the middle. And if you look carefully, you can find also custom marks on these tracks. And of course, just like in any other Miniart kit, this one does not supply you the assembly jig. So if you would like to have easy and fast experience, you have to work yourself, maybe assemble or invent your jig, because otherwise it will be a really tricky thing to get together. Next we continue with the 5 plastic sprues. So those ones carry the different type of track, and obviously you have to combine both together. And I think it's still really good that we have these plastic tracks included in the standard package, because they provide you with better features. They also help you to, or should be easier to paint and weather, and of course they will look more convincing on the finished vehicle. Next we have the side shelves here, so I will zoom out. Again, really nice external features or the texture here on those parts, and the same can be said about the opposite side. So again, Miniart in its, I would say, tradition did not ignore the parts which are barely visible. They are also properly detailed, and this is quite important in a 1/35 scale. Next, we continue with another white sprue. Here we have parts for the superstructure. Again, the notable thing is here that we have the separate hatches here. They can be opened, but as you remember, we do not have the full interior supplied here, so maybe it will be useful for the figurines placement, but not for the exposing what is inside the vehicle. So now I'm trying to position properly the box because it's trying to overturn. Next, we have more of the hull parts. Here are mostly the panels for the frontal section. Again, the separate hatches here. And if I flip it over here, you can check that we have some internal elements on the hull panels as well. So in case you wonder whether these are some special parts which are different from the interior kit, no, they are absolutely the same. And here, for example, we have some parts for the main gun breech, and as you can see, again, it looks pretty much the same as what we saw in the interior version of this kit. So it's up to you whether you would like to expose it somehow, especially considering the fact that, for example, here we have the main gun and the main gun mask, and here you can check it from the opposite side. Next, we continue with another large plastic sprue, so it's a sprue KC. This one is also dedicated to the superstructure panels. Here we have quite a smart design. As you can see, this is the frontal panel, and it features the special angular setup, which will give you the right alignment of the frontal armor panels so that they will be just like on the real vehicle. And this is really important. So I like such design solutions which actually work together. And next, we continue with the last gray plastic sprue. It's a sprue L. Here we have more of the hull parts. We also have some parts for the main gun. We also have some parts for the external armor. These are special supports which will be actually holding the armor in place. And if I flip it over here again, you can see some of the interior features for the hull. And everything looks really cool. But what I would recommend is rather get some figurines for such build, because those separate hatches will actually come handy for such feature. And next we continue with assembly manual. So this one is printed in form of large color printed brochure. I will zoom out so that you can see what we are talking about here. And we start with the first two marking options. This winter camouflage looks a bit tricky, but it will be also a really suitable thing to copy on a 1/35 scale vehicle. Next we continue with the parts map. Keep in mind that Miniart does not show which parts are left unused, so you have to be careful in order to pick the right elements. And as you can notice here, assembly process starts with the vehicle floor. We actually install those torsion bars which we saw separate, and then we start installing or joining the armor panels all together. All this is for the lower hull section. Then we continue with the top armor panels, and again a lot of P parts already involved on the initial stages of the assembly, so be careful with all of this stuff. And here, by the way, you can see this clever frontal panel, which will be used for the proper alignment of the glacis panels. Next, we continue with the parts for the, as far as you can see, that's not the turret, but that's also the hatch, which can be, as you can see, positioned open. Next, we continue with the superstructure. Actually, this is superstructure rear side, so here we have the engine bay. And again, we have the separate panels, but we do not have the engine included, so if you open it, it will be just an emptiness inside. And I'm not sure if actually Miniart produces the separate engine for this week also, that you can install it inside. Next, we continue with the suspension. So the suspension arms, the road wheels, the drive sprockets. Note that idlers are also combined together with the large P circles. And then we start assembling the tracks, side shelves, external armor, and Pioneer tools. Even the fire extinguisher gets the special support in form of the P holder. Next, we continue with more Pioneer tools here and there. So there are really impressive amount of these Pioneer tools, and for the towing cable you have to use your own metal wire, so it would be a wise idea to find a convincing metal wire add-on. Next, we continue with the external armor panels or Schurzen. So this one is only for the color variants 1, 2, 4, 5. And as you can see, it's again a matter of combining P parts together with P parts and then installing on the plastic parts, so plenty of precision will be needed. The same can be said about the spare tracks on the front armor panel. As you can see, they are built out of separate links and then being held in place with help of P part. Next, we continue with third and fourth marking option here. And another one from Italy, 1945, also quite an interesting camouflage here. So this kit comes as already available new coming product, and it should be already available, for example, in Modelimix. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about this release. Do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. And if you like this video, press the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.